the vetting system. Maybe the vetting system is screwed up.
Or we could just do the easy thing and like get rid of guns, right? Like, what's the need for the system anyway?
Yeah, but you have no way to defend yourself, dude.
Like the problem is in the U.S. that's not easy. In the U.S. that's not easy to get rid of guns. That's part of the problem.
Well, it is. It's just easy in what sense? You can stop gun production, and then you would have to stop illegal smuggling of guns, but that's something that's trying to be stopped anyway. So the only thing is you would have to stop legal gun production.
Yeah,
it's not easy because there's a lot of people who wouldn't like that, but that's just the same thing for every policy change.
Forget the idea of policy. Forget what people like. You know, there's more guns than people in the United States.
Yeah, there's 103 guns to every 100 people.
There's what?
There's 103 guns to every 100 people. I think something like that.
Right. Okay. So we're kind of already knee deep in the problem. It would take a lot of.
Stop the problem.
I mean, theoretically, anything's possible, but practically speaking, it doesn't seem likely. Like, it doesn't. That doesn't seem like a way to. Yeah, it'd be too difficult in my opinion.
Okay.
Get rid of all these guns, yeah.
You should try to stop it, though, right? Just because you think it's too difficult, is there a reason we shouldn't try to stop it?
Yeah, there's a reason. It's a pragmatic reason.
No, it's not.
Or argument. Yeah, but you don't think that's a reason? That's too difficult?
You said, in my opinion, it's too difficult to stop it. Why would that be a reason to not try to stop it?
Because it's too difficult is the reason.
No, you said you think it's too difficult. It's not too difficult. You think it's too difficult.
Yeah, I know.
Alright. It's not a reason to try to stop it. You're just saying, I think it's too difficult.
That is because the reason...
Dude, your opinion on how difficult it is isn't a reason to try to stop it.
Yeah, that's the reason. In my opinion, it's too difficult. Okay. That's the reason.
I think he's asking you to justify this position instead of restating it.
He could ask that, but he's not.
It kind of is based on context.
I just said your personal opinion isn't a reason to try to stop it. It's just your personal opinion. Like, whatever. Who cares?
Well, that's what makes it circular, but like I said, let's just skip past the whole meta thing, and I'll just substantiate that. Why do you think it's not possible?
What are you asking? I don't understand.
I'm asking you. What has informed your opinion in this direction?
There's sheer number of guns, and also the willingness of the people, frankly. But
I thought we were gonna throw out the policy thing.
Yeah, well, we could put it to if you want to actually. Yeah, we could put it to us. I mean, just looking at the sheer guns alone is already a surmountable issue. Coupled with the people's motivations, it becomes an even bigger issue.
Give me a little bit more depth on this. Why does the number of guns make the difficulty of removing them more substantial?
Do you not understand why there being a lot of guns would make it
difficult? Let's just pretend like he doesn't. Let's just pretend he doesn't, and you can explain it.
It's like,
why would you pretend if he doesn't?
Because he asked the question, he assumes that he doesn't, and that's why he wants to explain it. That's why. Because we assume when people ask questions, they don't know the answer. So let's pretend he doesn't know the answer, and you explain it.
Because there's a lot of guns, so it would be difficult to track them down.
So he asks why that's the case.
Because there's a lot, and it would just take capital, and it would take resources, and it would take a lot of manpower. Is this really interesting to go into? I mean, it's pretty obvious. I mean, I don't like answering dumb questions, frankly, because there's more interesting things to talk to. You want me to argue? You want me to defend an obvious point? Is that what we're trying to do here?
I don't know if it's necessarily so obvious. Yeah, that's why we want you to defend it.
Wait. Oh, fine. Wait. Do you disagree that it'd be difficult if there's a lot of guns? Is that your position?
I don't. Difficult, but I said it's not the
I'm gonna get ahead of this a little bit. I don't think that the number of guns is strictly a relevant factor. I think this, I need to think for a second and try to give a good comparison. Um, shit,
Wait,
what's
yeah,
it?
okay. There are a lot of people that murder. That doesn't make us want to stop murderers any less, right?
Wait, there's a lot of people who murder.
There are a lot of people who murder. It doesn't make us want to stop murderers any less, right?
Yeah,
There's a lot of
make us
resources
want
that
us to
it takes.
stop
There's a lot of
murdering
resources
more.
that it takes to solve murders, and it doesn't make us want to not solve murders any less. There are difficult things, and they're not reasons to not do the thing.
I don't understand that example. What?
Okay, so
relates.
someone is murdered, and it's very difficult to find out how they were murdered. Should we not try to find out how they were murdered?
Yeah, we should.
Okay, so just because something is difficult, and let's just even outgrant it to you. Let's say it is difficult. Is it the reason to stop to not do that thing? I don't understand what the point is.
If it becomes too difficult, I mean, no, we should. I mean, it's all within reason.
How would you determine it's too difficult until you try to do it?
Okay,
Generally, you should do things.
That is a reason. Hold on, wait.
No, it's
what am I
not.
arguing? Okay, let me just understand your
went over
issue. What? Wait, hold on.
We just
Do
went
you not
over it.
think? No, let me just, dude. Your philosophy, it just doesn't make sense, right? Let me just understand where you're coming from. Are you saying that the difficulty of a task should not be taken into account when pursuing it? Is that your
I'm
position?
saying the only case it would be is if you were to determine it's too difficult, which you can't do until you attempt to do the thing.
Okay.
I'm saying I'm saying assuming the task is too difficult before attempting the task isn't a reason to not do the task.
Okay, let me just pause you there. Okay, so you agree that the difficulty of a task should be taken into account. You're just skeptical of the task actually being difficult.
No, I very specifically said you thinking it's too difficult isn't a reason not to do the thing. That's why assuming something is too difficult isn't a reason to not do it.
Right. Okay.
That's not the same as saying the difficulty of a task shouldn't be taken into consideration of doing the task.
Okay, so right. Okay, you're just skeptical of it actually being too difficult, right?
No,
Stop. I'm gonna re-ask this. It's the same question. I'm just gonna reframe it a little bit. If we took another nameless country, one that we hadn't heard of, and we perceived the murder rate of that country to be very high, should we automatically assume from that perception that the rate can't be lowered?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that.
Yes, anything could be achieved.
Okay,
Sure.
so
with enough capital and effort. Yes. What?
So your point makes no sense. This isn't an argument from trying to stop gun control. Like, you're not making a counter argument. You're just saying, well, it might be hard. Okay. It's not a reason to not do it or try it.
I'm not arguing against blanket gun control. I'm arguing against the idea of confiscating all of the guns. That was all I really said.
That's still not an argument against trying to confiscate all guns. It's still the same thing.
The argument is that it'd be difficult. Not a very great argument.
That's not a counter argument for trying it.
Well, if you what?
I think you guys are getting somewhat loop. I'm gonna find a better question to ask him once again.
No, he is so bad. I don't care. He can pretend like it's an argument again.
Well, the similar.
No, I mean, I find it funny because I think he's brain dead. Frankly, this is
See, this person,
the parallel argument.
I'm gonna turn them down because I got them. I got my mic on mute. These people, this person couldn't even argue that police using guns versus civilians, if police can use them constructively, then
try and make them illegal, or at some point do you just give up and say all of them illegal? Like, that's closer to where this question lands.
Yeah. Okay. Same framework. All right. Yeah. It depends on how much. I mean, it's a very general case you're giving. You're saying how would I approach that?
yeah, this person couldn't even argue the difference. If the police can use them in the way that they use them, so can civilians. Now, if you want to argue that, well, it's more problematic with civilians or it's a higher rates, of casualties or murder or whatever you want to call it with people,
Okay,
civilians,
we want to have an argument on
then
this.
now you got to
And,
look at the
all right,
civil,
do you want? Okay, okay.
I mean the
Honestly,
vetting
Lars,
system,
Hold on.
why don't you answer
because
this one?
Is a valid.
they are not all
Um,
people misuse
two,
the
so
weapons.
I think we
Not
should.
all
I'm going to
people
unstick him. I'm
misuse
going to unstick him.
tools.
The
Gun is a
simple
tool,
lead
knife is
to
a tool,
Conradaga's
hot
argument
water is a
is
tool.
enforceability. If I tried to enforce
Then this person is trying to make a false equivalency between bombs dropping
the
on you to
argument will come
owning
down to a
guns.
tipping point. If something becomes too difficult
If
to
you own guns, that's
manage,
you
having a
just
account
me
manager here
possessing a gun is not the same as
I
a
know
bomb
you're getting
dropping
at
on
a
me. So
point.
that's a false
The
equivalency to try to
still main
set
argument
there.
is enforceability.
You're gonna have to change that to bullets dropping on me.
Wait, so
Don't have bullets flying in the sky.
we can't know anything's too difficult unless we try. Yep, right. So like,
Trying hasn't been brought into the question. That's why you're talking past each other.
Exactly. That's my whole point. Because he said we shouldn't even try because it's too difficult, and I said, how would you know that until you try?
okay, this is interesting. You're saying the only way to know something's too difficult if you try. You can't
I'm
like
not
think
saying
ahead of
the
time.
only way. I'm saying every time we talk about something else in the real world, we always
And then this
try it
person by
before
the name of
something's
Tu
difficult.
Akna joined the discussion,
Okay, Tuakna, I'm gonna
and I've
bring Steelman in.
debated this person before, and this person is really
Let me do it.
obtuse.
Tuakna, do you think you can fly if you flap your arms?
And you might be able to tell because the person was asking me really rhetorical questions, questions over and over where I answered, really acting obtuse. Now the discussion is just
And you know that
had no substance at all. It's just going into idle talk about different things. But if you take guns away off this, if you remove guns from civilians, these people act like you're still not going to have murderers. Like it's not going to, it's not going to happen. Person even slipped up and admitted first saying possibly that we're going to be more safer without guns. Came back and said, yeah, we'll be more safer. He knows possibly that we don't really know if we're any safer or anything changes, because the problem is not the tools that, which I kept saying to this person with guns. Problem is the people. Problem you're having may be the vetting.
Your argument's going in the same direction, but it's
Because again, not all people will be problematic with guns. So why, as they say, throw out the baby with the bathwater? So at this point, I'm just listening. I don't think I'm gonna get back in this.
Okay, hold on.
I think
Wait. Stop. If that's true,
this exchange is going senseless.
would your prescription from that be that people should still try to flap their arms to fly if flying would be convenient to them? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it came from. It doesn't matter where it came from. I'm asking if that is what your prescription is.
Then it would be a counter argument.
I'm asking what your prescription is. Do you think people should try to flap their arms?
Try it first.
Is that your prescription?
Yes, try it first. Then make a determination.
Do you think people should try and melt their enemies with eye lasers? Do you think people should try and do a voodoo ritual to increase their bank balance?
Yes,
do you think
before you determine it's too difficult? Yes, you should try it before you determine it's too difficult. Yes, every time. Every time you want to do something, you should try it before you determine it's too difficult. Every single time. 100% of the time. There's not a single case I can think of you shouldn't do that. Can you give me
so many cases? Oh my god.
Give me one.
You know,
okay, wait. Okay, this is good. This is good. You should try sending me all of your money, because if you do that, I'm going to use that money on research to flap my arms really hard to reach.
I wouldn't say it's too difficult to do that. That's not the difficult part.
How do you know? You haven't tried, right?
I wouldn't say it's too difficult.
You have to try first, don't you?
Difficult.
You have to try first to know, don't you?
It's difficult.
I mean, it could be difficult.
Now you're just doing the reverse thing. I don't know why you're carrying water for this idiot. Nowhere else in the world do we apply the standard. If you're gonna
do you want to live forever?
If you're gonna predetermine something is too difficult, you should try it first.
You didn't try it. You just predetermined it.
Predetermined what?
What's that? Give him all your money, you'll live forever. It's worth a try, right?
I'm not saying.
It's
Where's
possible.
the difficult part in that? What the fuck are you guys talking about? If you're
No,
saying
it might happen. I mean, it might be difficult for it to happen, but it might happen. And whether or not to judge how
those
how
things aren't
will
even
happen.
connected to each other. What are you even talking about? Giving money and living forever aren't even connected to
That
each other.
just makes it more difficult.
I'll connect it for you. I'll connect
That just makes it more difficult. That just makes it more difficult, right?
He'll connect it. He'll take the money. He'll use it for research.
People didn't live forever before money even existed. So these things are completely disconnected, and you guys know it.
That just makes it more difficult.
Connect it.
I'm just telling you that it's difficult. I'm accepting that. I'm accepting that it's difficult. You're telling me it's difficult. I'm accepting it's difficult. Are you going to give me all your money?
I'm telling you it's unrelated.
It's not unrelated. It's just difficult.
Okay, then explain how it's not unrelated.
It's just
You
difficult.
take the money and research.
Why
you take the money and do biology research to how to elongate life.
Explain
and
it.
If he's successful, you'll get a cure.
I'm not even going to do that. I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to tell you it's difficult.
That's fine. I'm going to say I don't have an opinion on it. I don't care. If you're not going to explain
you don't want to live forever?
Why would I ever care? You're just like saying, you should try to summon a gold bar in your hand. I'm like, okay, can you explain that? And you're like, no, I'm not going to explain it. And I'm going to be like, I don't have an opinion on it. What the fuck? It doesn't even make sense.
Having less information just makes it more difficult, right?
Okay.
No.
That's too much from the grass. Let's just say there is a connection. Give the money to me. I'll do biology research.
Why would you have an opinion on it? Why would you say something's too difficult if you don't have information?
This is what I mean by talking past the fucking point. You're on a parallel
you're trying to
line of
He's on a
reasoning.
different point.
There's no other place.
He's not past the point. He's behind the point. He needs basic philosophy.
Where else in life do we say? Where else in life?
Yeah, there's like literally no substance in this exchange now. If you notice, people, the substance has gone diminished greatly. And all the person had to argue was, well, if we remove guns, we're going to be a little bit safer. Well, prove that. Because we still have the issues of people having their mindsets to do wrong to other people. Are these people not going to find another alternative? So you're going to have people that misuse guns. You're going to have people that use them correctly. So to try to make the argument that I'm more safer and murderers are on the street without guns is ludicrous. There's still murderers or would-be murderers and serial killers running at large. That's really all there is to it, man. The issue is not the guns. The issue is not knives or anything else. It's the people.
When we try to go to space, people don't say, oh, it's too difficult, we're not going to try. We said, we're going to keep trying until we get it.
Have we tried sending things to Alpha Centauri?
Alpha Centauri is just another star system, and yes, we've launched things towards it.
Okay. The next star system, I do not know the name. Have we tried?
I don't know what the next star system is either, but we have things just going in space.
Is there a star system that we haven't sent things to? In your worldview?
For sure, 1,000%, I guarantee you.
Okay, why have we not tried to colonize those places?
Because there are places closer that we could colonize?
Why would that priority make a difference? Why do we go for the easier thing instead of the more difficult thing?
Because it's easier. That's what easier is.
But more achievable?
How do you know it's easier? We haven't tried the other one.
But isn't it because we tried to go to those further places first that it's more difficult?
No.
Okay.
We haven't tried to go. Didn't we just agree that there's places we haven't tried to go to yet?
If we try to go to the moon and we figure that it's hard, right? Shouldn't we just say that it's probably harder to go someplace further than the moon?
Yes, we should say that.
Oh, okay. So use logic.
But it's because we tried first.
Okay. There we go. We got it.
We tried to go into space. Holy fuck. How are we having this
conversation? Okay, cool. Wait. No, that's a huge brain blast. That's a huge brain blast. So we can try going to the moon, and we can logically
we tried to go to space first. Period. We tried going into space.
Okay. So there's a progression. We assume the things that are harder to do are more logically, we can logically infer that these are harder, so we'll go for the easier one, right?
No, it's not a logical inference. It's an attempt. Holy fuck. How were we having this conversation?
Hey, what do y'all think about my thing?
One thing in your life that you've said is too hard, I'm not even gonna try it without trying to do it first.
I figured it
one
out.
thing?
I figured it out. You are conflating the word attempt with like an inference of possibility. They're not the same thing.
I'm not talking about. Okay, name me one thing that you guys yourselves haven't even tried to do first before you said it's too difficult.
Shitloads of stuff.
Wait,
I haven't tried purchasing a yacht that costs $1 million because I don't have $1 million. So I figure
bit me.
I figure it'd be pretty difficult to purchase something that's out of my price range.
Oh my god, he fucking bit
Would it
me.
be possible to do so?
Yep, it'd be possible.
So it'd be possible to purchase something outside of your price range?
Yep, by $1 million. I could say, give me that $1 million yacht. I have $4. It's possible that they would say yes. Have I attempted it? No, I haven't.
Then you didn't buy something out of your price range. You didn't purchase it outside of your price range.
That's right. I didn't say I purchased it. I said I didn't purchase it.
Holy fuck! You said, fuck. You said, I'm gonna purchase something outside of my price range. A yacht outside of my price range. That's what you said. You didn't say get a yacht.
Bro,
I think you missed what I said. What I said was I haven't attempted to purchase a yacht that is outside of my price range.
And
because
is it
he inferred
possible
it's too
to
difficult.
purchase something outside of your price range?
Yes.
Really? What does that mean then? Explain what that means. Purchasing something outside of your price range.
They'll sell it to you less than the market value.
When your price range is the money you have, because
Yep.
it's the range that you can buy something, how do you purchase something outside of your price range? How do you buy something that you can't buy?
You can buy it,
So then it's not out of your price range. Holy fuck.
but it is out of my price range.
Then how do you buy it?
You didn't buy it
Because somebody's selling it to me while it's outside of my price range.
Holy fuck.
What's so complicated here? Didn't you ask him for an example of something he did not attempt to do because he inferred
He
that
didn't
it'd be
attempt
too
to buy
difficult?
something outside of his price range. I asked, what does it mean to buy something outside of your price range?
Hold on. If something
If
is
you bought
$100,
it, then it's not out of your price range.
if something is $100 and I have $5, is that out of my price
And you
range?
buy it, what did you buy it for?
We're not up to that yet.
We
Dude,
all
I don't
did that.
understand.
You said I've never tried
Wait,
to buy
dude, I
something
think
outside
we're
of my
being...
price
Dude, we
range.
have to be being trolled. This is kind of insane, no?
I am starting to think that's the case.
Okay, it's very simple. You're talking about a logical impossibility.
What?
How do you buy something outside of the money that you have? What
Because
did
a
you buy
price
it
range
with?
is set, but the ability to
Yes,
purchase
with
it
the
isn't
money
set.
you have.
The price
What do you
range is set. The ability to purchase it is not set.
When you say
If somebody-
I try to buy something outside of my price range, what are you determining your price range to be? What are you
If
doing
somebody
that with?
says I'm selling my candy bar for $100, the price range on
Yes.
this candy bar is $100, right?
No. You said I've never tried to buy a yacht outside of my
Why
price
are we
range.
skipping past this point? I'm telling you what a price
Because
range
the
is.
words you said don't work with buying something outside of your price range. How is that possible?
I'm telling
buy
you how
something
it's
outside of your
possible
price
because
range?
you're using words in a
price
different
range.
way. A price range is
Your
what is.
price range. No. How do you determine your price range? Which you said. I've never tried to buy a yacht outside of my price range. How do you determine your price range?
By setting a price on something. I think this is worth this much. Here's the value. Who wants to buy it?
And you've never done that in your life before?
Sold things?
Bought things outside of your price range?
Never
I
touched
have
a
bought.
yacht.
I have
Okay,
bought things
well,
outside of my
stop it.
price range, but not a yacht.
Holy fuck.
What?
It's possible, right? How do you know it's possible to buy things outside of your price range?
Because price ranges can be set, and then people can.
How do you know it's possible to buy things outside of your price range?
Dude, I don't know why this even matters. Who cares if it's possible or not? The point is he gave me an example.
Yeah, did he try to
Of
buy
the original
something outside of his price range once?
No. I think you're conflating a price range with like some. You're including in that some kind of negotiability. Like a price range is it's a number that somebody sets.
Yes.
and then whether or not they adhere to that number can tell you whether or not the purchase goes ahead.
If they adhere with it, doesn't the price range change?
Then you're talking about something other than that price range, right?
Holding water for this, dude.
I would say it differently.
Now you just lost it. It's so funny. I don't know why you're holding water for this argument. It's such a stupid argument. Nowhere in our lives do we determine things are too difficult before even trying them. People don't do that unless you're a loser. Which makes sense why Conrad would say that.
I think this is a semantic argument. I don't think any of this.
I agree. Nowhere in the world do we ever say we predetermine something to be too difficult before we try it. I absolutely agree. And you guys want to pretend like this is the case for anything just so we can have this stupid gun ownership argument, which is so stupid.
Okay, forget the what? I'm so.
Nowhere does anyone besides loser fucks say predetermine that things are too difficult before trying them.
Yeah, I'm kind of in disbelief that you're really arguing against this.
Hold on, wait.
You need it.
Wait. What's difficulty? Isn't everything the same difficulty then? If everything is equally achievable, aren't you making an argument for potential now?
Everything is impossible until you try it. Everything's impossible until you try it.
Equally?
Yes.
Everything is equally impossible until you
do it. Holy fuck.
So, if everything is equally impossible, why do words like difficult and easy exist?
Try things.
Excuse me?
Because you can try things.
So you only know things from experience.
Then we determine how difficult it is, right? That's what you will never have to wait.
Not right.
Wait. No, I'm 1,000% right, and you guys just don't want to accept.
How do you determine something is difficult if it fails?
Because you try it first.
How does that tell you it's difficult? If you tried and it failed, how does that tell you it's difficult?
Because you weren't able to do it.
So the ability to do things determines how difficult it is, right?
Yes. You trying something determines on how difficult it is.
Can information be inferred, or does everything have to be attempted?
I'm saying nowhere in our lives do we apply the standard for other things. When you say information can be inferred, you can take that in so many stupid ways, because I hate people saying information. I've talked to too many religious people who use it in such a stupid way.
I don't need religion to argue this. I can say if there's a candy bar for $2.50 and another candy bar for $2.50, can I infer that together they cost $5?
When you say information can be inferred, we can do it in certain ways where you don't try to jump off a cliff and fly, even though you've seen every single other person.
That's vastly overcomplicating it. If one candy bar costs $2.50, how many dollars does 4 candy bars cost?
I don't know. It would be like $10, something like that.
And we can figure that out without attempting to purchase them all individually, right?
Where is the difficulty part of this? Where are you presupposing it would be difficult? Do we just want to run away from that?
This has nothing to do with difficulty. I'm trying to.
That's what I'm saying. I don't care about
Okay, so
I'll
range it to your difficulty. If picking up a 25-pound dumbbell is difficult for you, then can you infer that picking up a 1,000-pound dumbbell?
How would you know it's difficult? How would you know it's difficult?
Okay.
How would you know
try
it's
to pick up? Okay. I'll the way you would do it is
difficult.
You try picking up the 25 dumbbell.
Exactly. We always determine things are difficult after.
Okay, I'm not arguing that right now. I'm just
saying something is difficult isn't a counter argument for why you should try it. It's not a counter.
No, you're missing my point. Wait, you're missing my point.
I don't care about what you're wrong on this thing. The thing we were talking about.
I'm just asking you. I'm not arguing.
The thing we were talking about is we shouldn't try gun control because it's too difficult. And I said that's not a counter argument, because nowhere do we ever determine something's too difficult before we try it. That's what I said.
Yeah, I don't think I see myself in any way going back into that exchange. Not with that individual. Like the discussion is just going off the rails.
Your stupid argument, even though it's absolutely incorrect. No one does this ever in any world. We don't do this. This isn't how humans work.
I don't know who you're trying to convince right now. I'm really just curious about how you see the world.
We don't determine something difficult until after we've tried it. That's just how it works. So say,
dude, are you just gonna talk forever?
Said it's too difficult to get rid of. It's too difficult to get rid of all guns. Therefore, we shouldn't try it. And I said, how would you know it's difficult until you try it?
Are you afraid of me talking? Are you afraid of me talking?
So much, and you keep avoiding this very simple point.
Dude, you're talking the whole time. Dude, I voiced this one thing and you wouldn't even let me finish it.
Yes, I said I don't care the thing you're talking about right now. I said I made a very
scared.
point about the gun control.
You're scared.
That's fine if you think that. And again, like I said, I don't care. Why would I care if you
Maybe
don't
I'm
care?
wrong.
I made a very single point. I made a very singular point.
Why won't you let me answer?
Difficult. I don't care what you're gonna say. That's why. I said,
why don't you care?
It's too difficult to get rid of all guns. Is it an argument?
Why don't you care? Hold up. Why can I ask you a question?
That's why. That's exactly why. There's your answer. There you go. So I made a very singular point saying just because it may be too difficult isn't an argument against it because we determine things are difficult after we've tried them. You don't want to go back to that. You know you're so wrong on it.
What's my question, dude?
I don't care what your question is.
Okay.
See why I don't need to debate this type of person?
I've already answered that. So if you weren't listening, that's not my
That's
problem.
Tuakna. If you go on Discord,
if you don't want to go back to the gun control thing, that's fine.
Don't bother with Tuakna.
You're so wrong on it. You're so wrong on it.
I think you're talking to yourself.
Let's come back to it if you're not wrong on it.
No, dude.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's why you don't want to go back to it.
I don't want to go back because you can't have a. We can have a discussion. We can have that high level discussion.
You're wrong on this.
Your philosophy is straight up messed up. You assume you can't know anything just based off experience. That's your philosophy. Your philosophy. The way I understand your philosophy, which is what I'm trying to get clarity on, but you don't want to clarify. So I understand your philosophy is the only way you know things is from experience.
That's not what I said.
That's your philosophy.
That's not what I said.
What?
That's not what I said.
That's what you repeated.
Okay, but that's all. No, you want to clarify.
I was very clear. I said the only way to determine
something you're not clear at all.
The only way to determine something is difficult is until after you tried it.
I know. That's okay. The way I interpret that.
That's why we asked the flying question. That's why we asked the winter eye question. I said the same thing this entire time. You guys are going to keep with your stupid argument for some reason. You're too stubborn to concede on it.
It doesn't matter what you say. It matters what we understand, right? So the way we understand.
You're wrong on it.
Then why are you talking to us if you don't care what we understand? I'm trying to understand your position.
I don't care what your questions are. I'm telling you very singularly what my point was.
Your point doesn't make sense to me.
What's my point? What's the only point I made this entire time?
That you, from what I understand of your position, you only can know things based on previous experience.
Okay, I just said it 10 times. The only way to determine something is difficult until after you tried it. So saying something is difficult isn't a counter argument if you haven't tried the thing already.
So what you just said meant the same thing in my language. What you just said is what I just said.
That's not my problem. That's your problem. I made one singular point.
Question for
other dude wants to carry water for you, that's fine. It's such a stupid conversation to carry water on because we don't apply this in our life. You don't apply it in your life. No one applies it this way. It's not how the words work in English.
I understand. Why are you attempting to justify your position, but you won't let me ask clarifying questions?
I'm not attempting to justify my position. I'm telling you what my position is. You don't have a point to this conversation, which is why you don't want to talk about this very specific point. We can make it so simple. If you tell me a single person who said lifting a weight was difficult before they tried it, I'm going to tell you they're a loser fuck. And you're going to agree with me because that's a loser fuck thing to do.
I won't agree with you.
For trying to lift the weight.
Can you lift a truck?
I can't lift a truck.
How do you know? Have you tried it?
Yeah.
Have you tried lifting 2 trucks?
I've tried lifting like 1 truck.
Have you tried lifting 2 trucks?
No, I haven't tried lifting 2 trucks.
And do you think
would you know if that's more difficult or less difficult than lifting 1 truck?
It'd be more difficult.
How do you know? You haven't tried it.
By logical necessity.
So we can reach logical necessity without attempting to do it, right?
No,
through inference.
The first step of that is the attempt. The first step of that is the attempt.
Yes, and then from there we infer, correct?
So you still have to try it first, right?
You can try things to gather data, and from there you can infer without trying, correct?
No, it's not without trying. You tried on the first step.
You tried something else, and then from that you're making a comparison. It could be possible. It's possible. It's possible that lifting 2 trucks is easier than lifting 1 truck, right?
To make the comparison. No, by logical necessity, it is not. To make the comparison.
I think you just learned something. Wow, this is exciting. You're going to school.
You can't make that comparison until you've made the attempt. Explain it then. Explain how you can make the comparison without the attempt.
Because it's possible for two trucks to weigh less than one truck.
Really?
Yep, it's possible that it's easier.
No, that's not what you said. It's possible for one truck to weigh less than two trucks. Explain how that's possible. Explain how that statement is possible, please.
Well, if one truck weighs a ton and another truck weighs 10 grams, then two trucks that weigh 10 grams would result in a total of two trucks that weighs 20 grams.
Two different trucks, dummy.
So that means it's possible, right? Through this differentiation?
No, you just said one truck is weight. You said it could be easier to lift two trucks than one truck.
Yep. And you assumed from that the trucks will weigh the same amount, right?
If you're referring to one truck, if you're going to talk about two different trucks, that's such a stupid argument because now you're talking about two different things entirely.
Yes, just like it's stupid to say that everything needs to be attempted without being inferred.
I never said everything needs to be attempted.
Yes, you fucking did 20 times, and you kept reiterating it over and over and over and over again.
It's not possible to determine something's difficult until you've tried it. So saying it's possible to lift two trucks easier than it is to lift one truck, you have to be using two different trucks to make that example work, which is why you're doing that. Because you know it makes no sense if you use the same truck. If you say I took one, truck like what are they? The Ram trucks, one of the very popular ones. Let's say a Cybertruck, right? That's the big one going on right now. If you say it's easier to lift two Cybertrucks than one Cybertruck, does that make any sense?
If I push a button,
so if you said it's easier to lift two Cybertrucks than one Cybertruck, does that make any sense?
If I push a button and determine...
You said it's easier to lift two Cybertrucks than one Cybertruck. Does that make any sense?
If one of them weighed less, it could be.
If you said it's easier to lift two Cybertrucks than one Cybertruck, does that make any sense?
If one of them weighed less than the other one, it's possible.
So two different Cybertrucks? If you try to lift two different Cybertrucks, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So the only way you can make it work is by playing tricky word games, by choosing two different. You're literally just doing. Well, if one of the cars was actually like a Hot Wheels car, then it would be easier to lift two cars than one car because one's a real Honda Civic and one is Hot Wheels. That's so fucking stupid and so dishonest, and you know it.
It's stupid because we can infer the difference rather quickly and easily, right?
It's different of two different things. Do you know why it's easier to lift a Hot Wheels truck than an actual Civic, a Honda Civic? Why is it easier to lift a Hot Wheels truck than a Honda Civic?
We can infer that it weighs a lot less.
Why do you know it's easier? Why do you know it's easier?
I guess based on volume and density and its material properties.
Easier.
Because that's what I've inferred.
I think he's asking us isn't know the answer.
I really need to restructure this question.
Have you tried to lift something with a certain amount of volume and a certain material?
Have you tried pressing a button before? Have you ever pressed a button?
I have pressed a button in my life, yes.
You succeeded at this? You actually pressed the button and it got pressed.
I pressed the button, yes.
So by this, we can infer the difficulty of everything else from this button press, right? We can say that, like, well, since you pressed the button and used a certain amount of force on this button, therefore you can't lift a truck. How do we reach that? How do we lift? How do we determine whether or not we can lift a truck based on the press of a button?
I never said you. When did I say you could?
Well,
you said
you made the attempt, right? And then from there we can infer. So
you said you could make logical inferences based off of previous attempts.
Yeah.
That's what you said. So
and then if
you're making right now.
So how much force is required to push a button?
Depends what the button is.
Well, it's a button, right? How many more of a magnitude higher is lifting a truck than pushing a button?
Depends what the button is and depends what the truck is.
So if you were to work out what the limitation of your muscle strength was...
How do you work it out?
Well, you push the button, right?
Oh, so you tried to do it first?
You push the button, and
so
from there...
tried to do it first.
What are they arguing and talking about? Like, see how idle that this has gotten.
Right? Because you can do that, right? You can make those logical inferences without the trying part of it. So I want you to explain this example without trying lifting the truck or pushing the button.
But without trying anything ever?
Yes. You said you could do it without the trying part.
I said you couldn't lift the... I said you could work out that you couldn't lift the truck
continuing to let it play for your
listening
listening pleasure. Maybe you can get something out of it.
I want you to explain it without trying.
You missed the context context. You missed the context. You missed the context.
Like, remember when
You're
I said,
asking me a different question.
impossible
You're asking me a
until you
different
try it.
question. I said you could work out that you couldn't lift the truck.
You very specifically said you can make these logical inferences without trying. And I said, no, you can't. The trying is part of that. And I said earlier too, all things are equally impossible until you try them. So if you don't those two statements, if you don't agree with those two statements, make this comparison without the trying part.
Here, so two.
Okay.
The thing you're misunderstanding is logical inference. A lot of the times, it comes down to intuition. So once you've trained up, like say you've worked in a field for a long time, it's like say I've seen a billion bugs in my lifetime, and I've seen a billion cars. I will know
This
that.
person by the name of Tu Akna has been pursuing me, trying to, ever since we had that debate on religion is useless.
When I see it, I literally don't have to think. I see what
And
you're saying. You're like, well, no, something happened. No,
almost
it's an intuition. It's called
about
pattern
everywhere I've
recognition in
gone
your
on
body.
Discord, this
Just tell you,
person Tu Akna is pursuing me.
thinking. It just happens, and it's a
And then
logical
when I'm
reaction.
trying to have an exchange with this other individual
That is a
by the name of Kuras,
intelligence and how humans work. It's a fundamental
this
truth we have.
Tu Akna individual is telling Kuras
I see
about
I just see a cube.
me and about
one cube in front of me.
I'm this, I'm that.
In front of me.
Uh,
Could I determine which one is
this is what's going to happen if you debate or talk with this individual. And this other individual, Kuras, told Tuakna, said, "I don't want to hear that. I'm not. Let's not even go there. I don't want that kind of smoke."
same size as another cube?
Oh, they're the same size.
And this person don't got a life. Has nothing better to do than to follow and harass me.
You can make these logical intuitions.
He must like how I do something to follow me. Had that kind of attention.
About which one is easier.
I ain't giving you. I ain't signing no autographs for you, man.
Bullshit, and we all know this in our lives. So I saw two cubes in front of me.
You're now making the opposite argument to what I just fucking made. You've taken my. Yes, you fucking are. I made the argument. Stop. I made the argument 5 minutes ago. I said you can't know that you can lift one truck easier than you can lift 2 trucks, and you said no. If it's 2 trucks, they have to weigh the same amount, right? Otherwise, you're making a different argument. And right now, you are making the exact same fucking argument in reverse, except for gymnastics instead of fucking trucks.
I know this is mental
I'll
gymnastics.
be very clear because what you try to do is
This is what it feels like to argue against a flat
I'll be
earther.
very clear.
Concede this fucking point. Your cube argument is
because
the same as my
I know.
truck
I said
argument.
it. Like I told him. I gave him the perfect logical
Stop
deduction
jumping in.
of how
Stop
patterns
jumping in.
are
I need to fucking
I'll
clear this
say
up because I don't.
Sure. I'll say this again. It's fine. You wanted to play tricky word games, and I said, do you think it's easier to lift one Cybertruck or 2 Cybertrucks? And you said, well, actually, if one is a Hot Wheels car, it's probably easier to lift 2 trucks. That's what you did. I said, if you took 2 cubes that are exactly the same, they look exactly the same, you smell them, they smell exactly the same, you touch them, they feel exactly the same. Can you make a logical intuition on which one is easier to lift up?
You can't, right?
Why can you not?
Because one of them could be a different density.
So why could you apply this to an example like gun control, which you talked about before? How can you determine the difficulty before you try the thing?
Hold on, whoa. I think we're skipping past something really important here. You concede the point that 2 cubes are the same size.
That's a good point.
Different weights, correct?
That's why
You didn't try this with gun control to reduce the guns.
That's why you can't determine how difficult it is until you try to lift it.
How do you know what you're proposing is going to be really any safer? Which is what I asked the person, and the person said possibly. Person doesn't even really believe in what the person is arguing. You remove all the guns from the civilians, which you really want. Remove all the guns, and then all the civilians are supposed to be safer. And the murderers or serial killers or whoever out there about to do wrong, does that change? That they're still not out there about to do harm to you?
Trucks can also be different densities, correct?
You haven't even have everything this person is saying was hypothetical. Haven't even proven that. If you get to that point,
Trucks can be different densities, correct?
Two different things.
that is going to make a difference.
Yes.
Right, so let's say...
You're not talking about
you
same
believe
truck. So when you say
in
one
flat
truck,
Earth.
there's two trucks. If you're going
Because
to
you
talk about
believe
two
the Earth
different
is
trucks,
round.
that's
So when you
fine.
talk about two cubes, that they
I
have to
never
be the
said they
same.
were the same cubes. I
You said they were the same size and they look the same and they touch the
Yes,
same.
which
Yeah.
doesn't make them the same cubes. When you say one truck and two trucks, I'm going to assume you're talking about the same truck because you only referred to one truck.
Yes, and that's an assumption, right?
Yes, I made that assumption.
Great. So we have the ability to infer. We have the ability to assume. We have the ability to assume. That gives us another lever to pull here. That gives us another lever. This is a brand new strategy. We can assume
Did
things.
you use the larger truck, an IKEA Ultima or a Toyota Explorer?
He's learning how to assume. This is important. Hey, wait, I have a question.
Just to be very
Do you
clear,
believe in?
when you refer to only one
Do you
truck,
believe in a round Earth or
when you
flat
refer to
Earth?
only one truck, when you refer to only one truck, I would assume when you say two trucks, it's two of the same trucks you're talking about because you only refer to one truck.
And we don't need an attempt for this, and we don't need to infer from this, right? We can assume.
Logically necessitated that two of the same trucks would weigh more than one of the same truck.
That's not what the question is. You're asking.
That is true.
No, that dodges the question.
It doesn't dodge your question because when you said, is it easier to lift two trucks or one truck, do you think I'm going to assume you mean Hot Wheels cars?
Hold on. Is an assumption
No.
the same thing as an induction?
That's what you said.
Are they
Stop. Is an assumption the same thing as an induction? Am I able to work things out from an induction, or is an assumption the exact same process?
I don't know. I'm not like, I don't know.
So hold on. If I assumed if I gave you a multiplication question like 526,228 times 400,296, you could assume an answer or you could calculate an answer. These are different, right?
Yeah, those are different.
So there is a difference between an assumed and you could still provide me an answer. You could provide me an assumed answer, and that could be an attempt, and that attempt could be incorrect or correct. And separately from that, you could calculate an answer, and you could provide that instead. And these would be two distinct things.
Yes.
So an assumption is different to that which is a calculated induction answer.
It's a logical necessity. That's what calculations are.
Okay, so to tie this to the broader topic, what Turner's point is,
necessitated that two of the same trucks weigh more than one of the truck.
none of that's relevant. I've already got the part of this that I need, which is to show what the difference between an assumption is.
You're talking about a Hot Wheels car compared to a Cybertruck. That's why you don't want to talk about two of the same trucks, because you're wrong here.
None of this
That's why you don't
fucking relevant.
I know why you think it's not relevant, because you're wrong on this point, and I don't know why you're carrying water for some dude who's already left the conversation. It's so stupid. Why?
Because it's worthwhile putting up the steel man on the counter argument.
What's the steel man? You really want a steel man that it's a counter argument of trying something by saying it's too difficult before you tried it? You want a steel man that? Say that it's too difficult to try something before you've even tried it is a reasonable argument. It's a reasonable counter argument. Say that.
It's not a full argument.
So
it requires substantiation.
Is it a counter argument?
Yes, it is a counter argument.
Okay, so I'm just gonna fine. If you want to say it's a counter argument, fine, sure, you're right. I'm just gonna consider you a loser fuck because that's a loser fuck way to live life. If you want to say something is too difficult before you've even tried it, and therefore you shouldn't try it, that's just a loser fuck way of looking at life.
And you told me just earlier that you haven't tried lifting two trucks before, therefore you're a loser fuck, right?
You're right. No, I can see. You're right. You're just a loser fuck. Okay?
You're a loser fuck because you haven't lifted two trucks, correct?
No, I'm telling you, if you're steelman...
Why are the rules different? Tell me why you are special pleading this rule.
I'm not saying the rules are different. I'm saying if
you are telling me the rules are different. You're telling me that I'm a loser fuck because I haven't tried, but you haven't tried in this example.
No, I said if you want to steelman his argument of being it's too difficult before I've tried it, therefore I shouldn't try it, which is his argument. That's why we talk about gun control and you don't want to bring it back. Fine. That's a counter argument. It's a dumb fuck counter argument. It's a loser way to live life. I concede. If that's what you want. You happy?
Do you concede that you're a loser fuck because you haven't tried lifting two trucks?
I'm saying that two trucks are logically need to be heavier than one truck if they are the same trucks.
So you don't need to attempt it, right? You've done this from inference, so you don't need to make the attempt?
It's not from inference. It's from logical necessity.
So are you a loser fuck or not because you haven't lifted two trucks?
But the trying part is still in it because you tried to lift one truck.
Right now with the amount of fucking words he said in the second.
Is trying to lift one truck the same thing as trying to lift two trucks?
I'm saying it's not based on inference. It's based on logical necessity after the made attempt. You still tried it.
You tried something
How
else.
is this so difficult for you to understand?
There are two distinct attempts here. One of them is one truck, one of them is two trucks.
They're not distinct attempts.
They are distinct attempts. One of them is twice the fucking weight of the other one.
So it's logically necessitated that it would be harder to lift it up. But you still tried.
Yes, logically, not through attempt, not through proof, not through practice.
You tried to lift the first truck.
I'm gonna twist this example a little bit. Do you think you can lift 50 kilograms?
No, you're dumb fuck. If it's not logically necessitated, you are saying that two trucks, same kinds of trucks, could be easier to lift than one truck.
You told me before you can push a button. Is it possible for you to press 5 buttons?
Do you want to avoid that even harder than you just did? If it's not logically necessitated after the attempt, you're saying you can attempt to lift two trucks of the same kind of truck as the one truck. So you can attempt to lift two Cybertrucks, even though you couldn't lift one Cybertruck.
You're telling me
it's logically possible that it can be easier to lift the two Cybertrucks. Do you want to say that?
Logic is not the same thing as an attempt.
To make that comparison, it requires an attempt. Do we disagree on that?
Do we disagree on that it requires logic?
To make that comparison, it requires an attempt. Do you disagree on that? You're so wrong with this comparison. It's so funny. I don't know why you're holding water for the view that left the conversation. You're so wrong on this.
I'm not, because you've taken...
You are.
It's one-sided.
I'll ask it again, because you still haven't answered. Are you saying that you can make that comparison without an attempt?
That question is conflationary.
Can you make that comparison without an attempt?
That question is conflationary. What does an attempt mean here? Does an attempt mean an attempt at lifting two trucks or an attempt at lifting one truck?
You're such a coward. If
your question is conflationary.
You won't even let him finish. You won't even let him answer, dude.
By logic, if it's not necessitated by logic, you're saying that you can make that logical comparison without attempting to lift either of those trucks.
When you are asking with the word attempt, you are using it in a conflationary way. It has two different meanings now. One of these is an attempt relating to one challenge. The other version of the attempt is relating to the other challenge. And you're saying, has there been an attempt, referring to both at the same time? It's a conflationary question.
Okay, so I'll ask you a question, because we're really into this stupid conversation now. Ready? Do you think, for you, what do you think is easier for you? Shaking hands with God or shaking hands with a genie? Which one is easier for you? Actually, you might believe in God. Would you say it's easier to shake hands with a unicorn or shake hands with a chimera? Which one's easier for you?
I don't think either of them are easier.
So you have no opinion on how difficult it is?
I think both of them are equally
you have no opinion
impossible.
on how difficult it is?
I don't even have a...
Why do you not have an opinion on how difficult it is?
Because you just asked another conflationary question.
It's not conflationary. You're saying you can make this comparison without an attempt. So I'm proving that you cannot do
this. The conflation that you just made in this instance is referring to two different difficulties. The first difficulty that you're referring to is the act of shaking something's hand. Shaking a person's hand is very easy, and I could make that comparison.
Why is it easy? How do you know it's easy?
The difference in the conflation that you are making is reaching for a creature that doesn't exist. So shaking the hand of anything that exists or interacting with something that is different that doesn't exist is more difficult.
Are you gonna let him answer? Are you gonna let him answer?
How do you know it's easy? How do you know it's easy to shake someone's hand?
Just keep repeating yourself, dude. It's such fucking cringe.
He knows he's wrong.
Your questions are conflationary. You're asking two different questions at the same time.
Harrison, you said you can make this comparison without attempts. So I'm giving you two things that you cannot attempt. And
when you ask with attempts, you are making a conflationary question. You're asking two different questions with one answer.
Answer the question. Which one is easier to try? Shaking hands with... I don't even remember what I said. I said, shaking hands with a genie or shaking hands with, a mermaid? Which one's easier? Why can't you make a difficulty comparison there? What is preventing you from doing that?
It's conflationary. You're asking two different questions. I'm finding a way to demonstrate this. I'm finding a way to demonstrate this that illustrates what makes this conflationary.
Yeah, I know you need ChatGPT to win some argument.
I'm not using GPT.
Why can't you make a difficulty comparison there? What is preventing you from doing that?
The way that you have framed your question is conflationary.
Sure. What is preventing you from making a difficulty comparison? Why can't you determine which one's more difficult?
When you are using the word difficult in this question, it has two different meanings. So when I provide you an answer, it's going to answer two different questions and thus be incorrect because one of them will
why
not
can you
match.
not determine if it's more difficult to shake hands with a genie or a mermaid? Why can't you do that? What is stopping you
can
from
make a
making that
determination. The problem is that you are conflating the question.
Yeah, what is it? What's your determination? Which one's harder?
I need two different determinations because that's
Which one is harder to shake hands with?
All right, I've answered your. I've attempted to explain why your question is conflationary. I'm going to do it again. I need this to stick because the questions you're asking aren't making enough sense. They're syntactically broken, and that's why I can't answer your question.
Just like I would think saying that it's a counter argument to not try something because it's too difficult before you tried it doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. That sentence doesn't make sense. How
It
do you
does make
determine
sense.
it's difficult before you try it?
Because when you say try it, you're referring to two different things.
Before you try, how does it make sense? It's too difficult to get rid of all guns, therefore we shouldn't try getting rid of all guns. A counter argument to trying to get rid of all guns. How does that make sense?
Do you know precisely how much you can lift in terms of weight?
You see why you won't answer the basic things that we were talking about before? Because you're so wrong on it. We don't treat this any other way in life.
I'm trying to steelman your argument here while also providing you an explanation.
What is my argument? I've said it like 30 times.
Oh Jesus Christ, you take me down so many different fucking pathways. Every time I ask something, it's five more questions. So I'm gonna knock all of these off the list. The top one off the list is what is your stance?
What's my argument?
So I'm going.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
Steelman my argument.
Your argument is that you cannot determine the difficulty of something based purely on its potential.
No, I said that you can't. Well, to be fair, I said two things because the one is for the beginning of the argument we had, and now it's for this. The first one I said for the gun control thing, I said saying something is too difficult before you tried it isn't an argument against trying it because it doesn't make sense to say something's too difficult before you tried it. So that's one. And the second thing is you can't make a determination that something's too difficult without trying it first.
When you say without trying it, when you're saying you can't without attempting it.
Without trying, pure. You want to say? I'll just say trying.
Yes, but when you say trying it, when you are using the word it is referring to multiple things, and that is creating confusion.
Okay, so if you want to do the two cars thing, the reason that you know it's more difficult to lift two cars than one car is because two cars, saying they're the same cars, assuming they're the same cars, logically necessitates it, but there's still an attempt there. You still try to do something. Right?
If you try to lift up another person, you can lift up a person.
Right? You still
not going to let him answer.
Something?
You're not even going to let him answer, Akna. What a joke.
You still try to do something, right?
Again, this is conflationary.
There's no point answering your questions.
You're a joke.
There's no point even trying to have a discussion with you, dude.
Jeff, you're actually really calming right now because I can't believe this dude is holding water for such a loser fuck who left the conversation.
If I can
kind of calming.
You're on repeat, dude.
Like I said, you're kind of calming right now, so you can keep talking if you want.
Being able to lift a toy truck doesn't mean I can lift a full-size real truck, correct?
Why do you make that assumption, buddy?
Not an assumption.
It is an assumption. Why do you make that assumption?
No, it's not.
Yeah, well, it is.
It's not an assumption. It's reality.
Really? So, have you ever seen like a small like box and you've ever tried to lift it and then you find out you can't lift it, but you thought you could lift it? Have you ever tried to lift a box that you thought you could lift and you couldn't lift it?
Is lifting a toy...
Holy fuck. Okay. We just don't want to even engage on this because we're so wrong on it. Have you ever seen a box that you thought but you couldn't lift it?
Won't let him answer.
Have you ever seen a box?
This is true. I need to be able to approach your line of reasoning linearly. Otherwise, we're never going to engage. I'm going to bring up a point, and we're going to get derailed from it, and nothing will be learned.
Every point you bring up is avoiding the very simple point I've made. and you want to avoid it really hard.
Am I going to come to understand you from you barraging me with questions on top of questions, or am I going to understand you through asking questions that you answer?
You're wrong on it.
Which of the two paths should I go down?
I just said I don't care. You're wrong on it.
Wrong on what?
There's a reason you don't want to engage with this one, because you're so wrong on it. And that's why I'm asking you a very simple question. Have you ever seen a box that you thought you could lift and you couldn't lift it?
Of course.
Well, there's a reason why you bombard us with ridiculous hypotheticals.
Why do you think that you could lift that box?
Who says
Why
that was the assumption?
You could lift that box.
Won't even let him answer.
What? Where in your assertion?
Do you think you could lift that box?
Won't even let him answer. What a joke.
I'm agreeing with your assessment there. I need to be able to give a full answer before you cut me off. Your question carries an implication with it. Your question asks, how did you know that you couldn't lift the box?
No,
if I don't know if I can lift the box or not,
that box.
Who says I have that thought? You are asserting that I have this thought before I lift it.
Okay, so have you ever tried to lift a box that you thought you could lift, and then you found out you couldn't lift it? Have you ever tried to lift
now that we have adjusted the question appropriately.
So, yes, great. So why did you think you couldn't lift that box? Sorry, why did you think you could lift that box? Why did you think you could lift that box?
Pattern recognition, as described earlier.
Okay, based on what? What was that?
Prior experience.
Yes, prior experience doing
pattern recognition, yes.
Yes, doing what?
Lifting other things of
so
similar...
you tried to lift other things that are similar, and you weren't able to do so. Or you were able to do so in this case.
So in my experience, I had made an attempt. I'm going to finish my answer, otherwise this is not going to work. From the experience that I just had, from that attempt, I'm now translating that attempt to a different task and making an assumption.
Translating that attempt, what does that even mean?
Inference. Assumption.
So you're making an assumption, yeah.
So if that's what I'm doing, is the first attempt the same thing as the second attempt, despite it being a different challenge?
Why you make that assumption if you don't think it's the same thing? You don't use this in your life like that. That's what I'm telling you. You're carrying water. It's such a stupid argument.
You need to restate what you just said because it was total word salad. Type it in if that will help.
Sure. You don't use attempts in the way that you're conveying them right now. The way you make that inference isn't because you're carrying one attempt over to another. It's because you said, hey, I've tried this thing before. I'm going to try it again. And then you determine how difficult it is based on trying it again. You didn't determine the difficulty before you lifted the box.
You're using the word trying in a very strange way here.
Oh my God. You're a joke, man. Oh my God.
All you do is insult people. Everybody who disagree with you insult.
Okay.
What a joke.
Hilarious. Okay.
Maybe you should find other people to talk to who are not stupid. Because all you do is insult people and call people stupid in jokes. Maybe you should find some other people to talk to.
Other people who I don't find stupid.
Maybe you should find a crowd that's not stupid. All you do is call people stupid. So find some other people to talk to who aren't stupid.
I don't mind him saying this because all it signals to me is that...
I don't think you're stupid. I think he's just holding
water. You're the smart one, dude, obviously. You're obviously the smart one.
I never said that.
I'm not interested in a meta argument. I'm not interested in a meta argument. The follow-up question to this is, if I have attempted one thing, do I need to ever make multiple attempts, or do I just need one attempt to if I can push a button, can I lift a mountain?
Okay. Oh my God.
If that's not enough information, then I need more attempts to gather information, right?
Yeah. If you don't have enough information, you don't make a determination of how difficult it is. Right? If you don't have enough information, you don't make a determination on how difficult it is. Right? information, you don't make a determination on how difficult it is.
You just got to get an answer. You're just going to keep asking the same question.
Yes, I do need to get an answer.
You're impatient.
I need it. Stop.
How long is it going to
Stop.
Yeah, this person tried to make a comparison about
Because
poison with guns.
if you don't have enough information,
And poison with guns, a gun in and of itself is a tool, is not poisonous. Poison of itself is poison. If I touch that poison, get contact with that poison, that's already instant toxicity to my skin, to my body, to my person. So when I mentioned about poison being toxic, being in and of itself, like the element, the nature of toxicity, the nature of poison. But then the person, Tyrus, wherever his name is pronounced, started putting poison, the subject of poison, in
if I can lift 50
a
kilograms,
context of neutrality, which was I was doing with the tool.
I can't do the other.
So if there's a way to neutralize that, then that could be the equivalent.
But I did try it.
But
I did try it, and it was
the
successful on the 50.
equivalent
Does that mean I
between
can't?
poison and the gun would actually be the gunpowder. The gunpowder itself is a harmful element.
You're jumping 10 fucking steps ahead here. I'm approaching this linearly, trying to understand your framework, and it is not working.
No. Every time to avoid the question about the attempt thing, you bring up a logical necessity.
I'm gonna go straight back down the same logical pathway that I need to understand your points. If I can't do that,
This is going to be very clear. The only way you worm out of this conversation is every time, just like the truck thing, just like the Hot Wheels thing, just like every other, the button and the mouse.
I can't continue this conversation if I can't talk.
To worm out of this point, you bring up a logical necessity because you know you're wrong on it. That's the only way you can have this conversation is by saying, well, if I tried to lift up 10 kilograms and I couldn't do it, do I need to try to lift up 100 kilograms to know that I can't do it? It's a logical necessity. If you can't do the easier thing, by the definition, it's easier to lift 10
I didn't
kilograms.
say can't. I said can. If I can, then I can do.
Yeah, see, this person's getting a load of what it's like interacting with this person by the name of Two Octa.
That wasn't the example.
To be absolutely fair,
Fucking stop.
Two Octa.
Jesus
Can
Christ.
you explain to us?
What I said was can lift 50 kilograms, not can't lift 50 kilograms.
Somebody.
You can lift. I'm American, so I use pounds. If you can lift 50 pounds, there's a logical possibility that you can lift 100 pounds.
So if I have made an attempt to lift 50 grams, and 100 kilograms is logically doubled that, does that alone give me enough information to tell me that I can lift 100 kilograms or not?
It doesn't, but you also don't make a determination on how difficult it would be. You only make a determination based on the relativity of already making the attempt, which is what we do for all things.
If I don't know what the limit is, then I need a separate attempt, right?
Yes, you need more information to determine the difficulty of something.
And these attempts would be discrete attempts, right?
Discrete.
What do you mean there would be discrete attempts?
Octa, what is your favorite color?
Nice guy, please. I'm following the fucking line of reasoning here.
I'm just trying to ask, like, basically the question that's going to solve this entire debate. So, like, my bad. But Octa, what is your favorite color?
Purple.
Purple's not a real color. Okay, yeah. Octa is wrong here.
Alright. Anyway,
Okay, that was not helpful.
I feel like it was.
When you say discrete attempts, now you're going back on your point, which is saying we can use intuition to determine the difficulty of things without making discrete attempts. So now either we can make discrete attempts, or we don't need them to make a determination. What's
the difference between a discrete attempt and a non-discrete attempt?
So if you say discrete attempt, that means that you try it every single time. You try to lift 50 pounds, you can do it. You try to lift 100 pounds, you can do it. But then he's saying, well, you don't need to try to lift 300 pounds to determine how difficult it is because you base this off of knowing other things.
You haven't answered what the difference between a discrete attempt and a non-discrete
So a discrete attempt would be trying it each individual time. Well, I guess you would have non-discrete attempts. I guess that's a fair point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the discreteness of attempts isn't a real thing. It's something you just made up.
I didn't make that up. That was Krauss.
Okay, let's make.
As opposed to abstract attempts, you got discrete attempts. So like what?
I don't know. Krauss brought out the point. You'd have to ask him.
Okay, yeah, I blame Cross for that one. I agree.
Discrete attempts. No, I've never heard of discrete attempts before.
If I was to
but it's like more discrete.
If I was to lift a 50 kilo box, I could infer roughly, for the sake of argument,
only infer relative to the thing that you already tried.
Okay, so let's say I'll start with the 300 kilo box, and I make this attempt and I fail, and from that I can logically infer that I can't lift the 600 because that's twice what the 300
It's not a logical inference. It's a necessity.
Yeah, but how could you know that you can't lift the 600 if you've only ever lifted the 300?
No, he's saying if you can't lift the 300, you can infer you can't lift the 600, and I'm saying that is not an inference. It's a logical necessity.
But what if?
Hold on, wait. Do you know what an inference
600 is easier than
You're not
300?
making an inference there.
A logical inference is a type of logic. Inference is a type of logic.
Inference is a type of
Okay, so you could say that, but then you would just be agreeing with me.
Yes, because I'm trying to set a baseline understanding of what this is.
I guess we're using inference differently.
How have you been using it if it doesn't meet that description?
Because
how have you been using it?
You meant just making an assumption. You just assume you couldn't lift the 600 once.
I demonstrated the difference between an assumption and an inference earlier through asking you if you could complete a difficult mathematical multiplication question.
But I still said back then, it's a logical necessity. It's based on logic either way.
But
you're making an assumption. What if
I happen?
But no one uses it, and I guess you could say people use it in that way. I would just say it's based on logic. So sure, I guess we agree on this point. But then
what if I happen to live
we're never ever making
in a world
of difficulty,
Hold on.
and we're never making any inferences of difficulty. Or sorry, we're not making any assumptions of difficulty. We're only making logical inferences of difficulty.
What if
I
happen to live in a world where
that's what I would say with the gun control thing.
What if I happen to live in a world where God made it so that I couldn't pick up 300 pounds, but I could pick up 600 pounds, right?
True.
And the only way to figure that out is to try, because maybe our universe doesn't make coherent sense.
That would still go to my point, because then you wouldn't be able to determine. Do you think you make inferences of difficulty or assumptions of difficulty? Out of curiosity.
No,
not you.
I'm not sure what an inference is. To be fair, so I don't understand that question.
Do you think you make logical inferences of difficulty or assumptions of difficulty?
You can use it either way.
Obviously.
Okay, so I think making assumptions of difficulty isn't a counter-argument to trying something. If you were to say making inferences of difficulty is a counter-argument, the only thing I would say for this case would be you're not making an inference of difficulty of removing guns, you're making an assumption. Can we agree on that?
But if I assume, this is something that my mom told me when I was a kid, if I assume it makes an ass out of you and me.
Oh my god. Repeat your question if you could type it or something, because it sounds technical, but I may be able to agree with it.
So, can we say that what Kogan was doing, or whatever the other dude's name was, is he wasn't making a logical inference of difficulty, he was making an assumption of difficulty.
So I don't have to make many assumptions, if any, to know that how difficult it would be to confiscate all the guns from the general public of the United States of America.
Dude, I'm trying to have a conversation with someone, and we might agree here. Can we agree that
Okay, you're not in charge of this conversation. I'm going to contribute. There was a pause, and I contributed. Akna, you're not in charge of this conversation.
Thank you.
Wasn't making a logical inference.
Somebody is the
He
boss
wasn't
to
using
say.
whatever the other dude was doing, he wasn't making a logical inference. He was making an assumption and making assumptions of difficulty without enough information. Is it a counter argument to trying something? You can make a logical inference, except you wasn't making a logical inference.
We never got to learn.
support that inference.
Do you worship data? Is that what you're saying that you do?
I'm saying you use data to make a logical inference, correct?
Can we worship
We
studies?
don't know what information he could or could not have presented.
No. I'm asking, do you think Krauss was making a logical inference, or do you think he was making an assumption?
I don't know. We never got to find out because we got stuck in meta arguments.
Okay. If he was making a logical assumption, would you agree that a logical assumption
It's pronounced
sorry, not a
meta, by
logical
the way, not
assumption.
matter.
Would you say would you agree that an assumption of difficulty isn't a reason to not do something?
Again, a
assumption of difficulty is not a counter argument to trying something.
You should
Try everything once.
I don't think it's a full argument. I could say
Okay, so it's not an argument.
You should try everything once.
I
mean,
think
everyone can agree with that.
So it's not an argument. If
Statements can be made in
if it's
opposition
not a
to.
full argument, it's not
Let me finish what I'm saying. Statements can be made. Jesus Christ. Statements can be made in opposition to another statement that aren't full arguments or fully substantiated arguments that
sure
remain in counter to them.
Substantiated argument against trying to get rid of guns. Can we agree on that? It was not a fully substantiated argument for trying to get rid of guns. If he made an assumption on the difficulty of getting rid of guns.
What's the difference
That's what he
between
did.
what's the difference between a
We
regular
agree on
argument
that
and a
technical statement, yes.
substantiated argument?
Okay,
What
cool.
is I don't
understand
the difference between those two things.
What the other dude was doing, and we can end the convo here. Fine. If you want to do that, if you want to carry water for him and saying he was making a logical inference, go ahead. There was none there to make that conclusion. So if you want to carry water for him on that stupid point, feel free. That's fine.
You never heard his point. You buried him. You buried him in meta arguments. We never got to understand what their point was.
I was buried in
probably in ridiculous hypotheticals.
There's no data to support that claim.
That you know of, correct?
Data is
that anyone knows of.
But who invented
That's an assumption. You don't know what he has to provide.
There's no data that anyone knows.
Who invented data?
Do you think he would be creating? Do you think he would be creating like? Whatever.
So did someone talk about like potentially
Hold on.
getting rid of all guns?
Hold on. Tuokna, you asked me earlier about whether or not I could. You asked me something specific. You asked if I had ever attempted to lift a box and failed. And my response to that was that it was based off all kinds of like previous experience, etc. And that would go back into my life experience to tell me whether or not I think I could lift this box. And then the realized challenge of that could affect the outcome. So it could be like, I think I can lift this box, but I can't actually lift this box. And you asked me if that had ever happened to me. And then the reason that this applies analogously right here is because
this person said that the poison on a gun is the risk that's there. So now you're going to argue that the risk is just the poison, but now we can just extrapolate that to other things that have the risk, and then what you're going to do with that, the risk of something going wrong. That's why it fell apart. Because we're not just removing things that just because they have a risk of harm to them if not done right. That's the first thing. You spread poison around in and of itself. It's not the same thing as handing out guns around. What are those people going to do with those guns? Because that's where the problem is with the people.
No, because he's not a cop.
Don't answer for him.
Yeah.
Only cops get
following that, how do we know what he was going to say to this question if he was never given the opportunity?
That has nothing to do with changing my mind or information given. I'm saying there's no information to make that logical inference. No one that anybody has.
Isn't that an assumption?
That's fine. Yes, absolutely. And I'm okay with making that assumption.
So you're okay with making an assumption, but you're not okay with him making an assumption?
No, he can make an assumption.
Yes.
That's fine.
It wasn't fine just earlier because you said that wasn't an argument.
What do you mean it wasn't fine? Yeah, I never said that what I'm saying is an argument. I'm not making a counter argument to him having a point. I'm just saying I'm making that assumption. I never said I was making a counter argument.
Assumptions aren't bad. Assumptions are only bad if assholes make assumptions.
I'm okay with biting so many bullets. I do not care. So you can't, like, I'm not saying I'm making a counter argument. I'm making an assumption. Absolutely. It's not a counter argument.
Your mom's a counter argument? Sorry.
Alrighty then.
Okay.
So did someone in this DC? Sorry, go ahead.
Guys, how do we not agree here? Come on, dude. Why do you keep trying to just gotcha me?
Is there a claim that? Go ahead.
It bothers me that we weren't able to get past the meta argument and the weeds when he was about to provide an argument that could have been based on assumption. It doesn't really matter what it was, but we didn't actually get to substantiate what it was or where it came from or why it was to be able to challenge that, and instead we got buried and inundated under meta argument upon meta argument upon meta argument trying to clarify all these things.
Can you, as an Australian, can you explain to me what the difference is between a meta argument and a meta argument? Because I don't understand what's going on.
What that was a meta argument?
What the fuck is a meta argument? I know a meta argument, but these Australians keep talking about meta arguments, and it's fucking obnoxious.
So was there a claim made that potentially all the guns can be removed from the general public?
No. You said that it would be too difficult to remove all the guns from the general public, so we shouldn't try.
That's what.
In what society? In what society are we talking about? America or Australia or England or what?
He didn't actually even make the claim. That's why I'm challenging this and why I was trying to steel man it. Because they never actually made this claim to it. What they were getting at was the comparison.
It's so stupid.
I just wording other people's perspectives is difficult. The analogy would follow that they would see a similar difficulty in trying to remove guns as an enforcement issue as it would be in being able to perceive that you can't lift 200 kilograms if you already struggle to barely be able to lift 80.
What a ridiculous comparison.
No, let's not be
I think that from this meta conversation perspective, what we're really talking about is how large of a gun can you actually own? And like the first thing that pops into my mind is a cannon. A cannon's like a really big gun. But actually, the biggest type of gun is a nuclear weapon.
Nuclear warhead.
Why is it a gun?
Yeah.
How is that a gun?
So that is the biggest.
Can it be classified as a gun or arms?
Yeah.
How?
Thank you.
What do you mean how? It's a weapon. It does stuff.
Or Nerf gun.
Obviously a weapon.
It can be classified as arms.
Nice guy, are you memeing right now? Are you trying to make a valid point? I don't understand where this is.
I don't know what's going on. I am memeing the shit out of it.
He told me. He likes it. Yeah.
So the Constitution, the Second Amendment mentions arms. The question is, what are arms?
Yes, it absolutely